Lighting within the indoor environment can be considered to have three basic purposes. Number one, to enable the occupant to work and move about in safety. Number two, to enable tasks to be performed. And lastly, to make the interior look pleasant. Also, there are two principal ways in which building can be lit. These are the naturally and artificially. Naturally is by daylight received from the sky, and the artificially by electric lamps or other artificial light sources. Natural light is changing, it varies in time, sometimes rapidly, chaotically it varies spatially at many scales, from different daylight climate across the globe to the complex and subtle distribution of brightness at the scale of an individual room. Daylight is the controlled admission of natural light into a space through windows. To reduce or eliminate electric lighting by providing a direct link to the dynamic and perpetually evolving patterns of outdoor illumination. Daylighting helps create a visually stimulating and productive environment for building occupants while reducing as much as 1/3 of total building energy costs. Light as two distinct sources of light, the sunlight and the skylight. What is sunlight? Sunlight is the part of solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface as parallel rays after selective attenuation by the atmosphere. And the skylight is the part of solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface as a result scattering in the atmosphere. What is daylighting? Daylighting is the quantity of daylight obtained within a room will be depend upon the orientation, geometry, and space planning of the space to be lit, and the dimension and orientation of the opening through which daylight will pass. Also, the location and surface properties of on any internal partitions which may be reflect and distribute the daylight. Also, it's the location, form, and dimensions of any shading device which will provide protection from too much light and glare. Also, the light and thermal characteristics of the glazing materials used. How to control the daylight? A range of methods are available to control the amount of daylight that penetrates into the building. The fixed internal, fixed external, variable external. What is fixed external? Fixed external is the permanently obstructed by skylight and is maintenance free but is architecturally dominating. What is variable external? Allows the maximization of skylight but can suffer from maintenance problem. And what is variable internal? It can absorb the solar radiation and acts as a secondary heat sources within the building, effective by visual comfort. Daylighting factor. Daylighting factor is interior daylight is measured using a parameter known as the daylight factor or DF. I'm gonna show you how to get the value of a daylight factor. Daylighting factor equals to interior illuminance all over the simultaneous horizontal unobstructed exterior illuminance multiply 100. The daylighting factor is a combination of three separate components: the skylight components, the externally reflected, and lastly, the internally reflected components. What is the skylight component? The light received direct from the sky. The externally reflected component is the light received directly by reflection from buildings and obstructions outside the room. And the internally reflected component is the light received from surfaces inside the room. I'm gonna show you how they may apply these three factors of the daylight. Example, this is the window. This is what you call the internally reflected components, or the IRC, while this is the externally reflected components, or the light received directly from the reflection from the buildings and obstructions outside the room. Also, this also a formula how to calculate a daylight factor. Skylight components plus the externally reflected components plus the internally reflected components. Daylighting concepts. Daylighting design process involves the integration of many disciplines including architectural, mechanical, electrical, and the lighting. Architectural, the one who will design the house and the location of the windows, and the mechanical, the one who will construct the type of windows. Electrical, the one who will design how many bulbs to be used in a particular room. And the lighting. Lighting is the main concept of a daylighting because it helps the room to be lighted. So in daylighting concepts, an awareness of basic visual acuity and performance issues is essential to an effective daylighting design. Listed: veiling reflections, distributions, glare, variety, and quantity. What is veiling reflections? Veiling reflections on high brightness light sources of specular shiny surfaces obscure details by reducing contrast. They should be avoided particularly where critical visual tasks occur. It can reduce task contrast and provide alternate focusing cues. It is caused by fixtures with strong downward component of light output. What is distribution? It is introduced as much controlled daylight as deep as possible into the building interior. The human eye can adjust to high levels of luminance as long as it evenly distributed. In general, light which reaches at us indirectly, such as having a bounce from a wall, will provide better lighting quality than light which arrives directly from a natural or artificial sources. In glare, the aim of an efficient daylighting design is not only to provide illuminance but also to maintain a comfortable and pleasing atmosphere. Glare or excessive brightness contrast within the field of view is an aspect of lighting that can cause discomfort to occupants. The human eye can function quite well over a wide range of luminous environments but does not function well if extreme levels of brightness are present in the same field of view. In variety, some contrast in brightness levels may be desirable in a space for visual effectiveness. Dull uniformly in lighting can lead to tiredness and lack of attention, neither of which is compatible with a productive environment. Oftentimes, a good daylighting solution will integrate a blast of beam daylight in a circulation area for visual interest and to help lead occupants through a building. The human eye is naturally attracted to the bright area and can be useful in guiding people down on otherwise banal corridor. Lastly, in quantity, it is introduced as much controlled daylight as possible and as deeply as possible into the building interior. Or another concept of good daylighting is it requires attention to both qualitative and quantitative aspect of design. And lastly, to be effective is the daylighting must be integrated with electric lighting design. In particular, daylighting must be coupled with efficient electric lighting control if net energy saving are to be realized. As part of a daylighting design, consider the use of continuously dimming. In design elements, several designs consideration impacting the light effect a building in terms of form and shape. Probably the most significant design determinant when implementing daylighting strategies is the geometry of a building, walls, ceiling, floors, windows, and how each relates to the other. An understanding of the effect of the various building elements will provide the basis of manipulating form to achieve adequate lighting levels. It's also important to understand geometric relationships in terms of lighting functions as well as to comprehend the quantitative relationship that accompany various geometric forms. A review of measured or calculated illumination levels for various design functions will be helpful. As well, the experienced designers need to manipulate the configurations and measure the results before they can properly understand the quantitative relationships. This can be accomplished through physical model tests, computer simulations, or both. Design elements, there are exterior elements. Exterior elements defined as overhangs can be useful controls for fenestration in addition to blocking the direct beam from the sun. They will also reduce the amount of sky seen from within a room, thus reducing the amount of diffuse skylight admitted through the opening. Reflected light from the ground or other surfaces can also be caught by an overhang and directed back into the exterior of a room. The result will be slightly higher illuminance level and a more even distribution of light in the space. Example of exterior elements is the light shelves. Light shelves are typically horizontal devices located near the window area. Successful fenestration systems have integrated both exterior and interior light. Fenestration systems may have exterior or interior light shelves. These devices may be combined so both exterior and interior work together. Horizontal louvers are an effective method of blocking direct beam light during the summer when sun angles are high, while allowing some sunlight penetration during the seasons. Movable louvers can be controlled electronically or mechanically to respond to changing sky and weather conditions. Vertical louvers or fins are advantageous for east and west orientations to block direct beam light and to reflect light into the interior.